it is time to pick the Browns. So I'm going to reintroduce everyone here. Dan Labbe, joined by Mary Kay Cabot, Doug Lesmerises, Ellis Williams, and Football Insider subscriber Tyson Daly. I've got the Browns right now, unless this has changed, favored by 3.5. So that's what we're going to go with against the Texans. The weather all of a sudden seems like it's going to be a factor again in this game. But we always let our Football Insider subscriber go first. So Tyson, what are you thinking?
My head tells me that Deshaun Watson's going to be a problem. And my head tells me to pick the Texans. I just can't do it. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Browns, especially if weather is an issue, because unlike the Raiders, the Texans shouldn't be able to run on us. That was a really depressing game last week. So I'm going to go with the Browns minus 3.5, just because my heart tells me to go with the Browns minus 3.5.
Ellis?
This is tough. I don't know if this will be the pick I end up submitting when we got to get those in on Friday or Saturday. Weather has a lot to do with this. The Tennessee-Houston game, I think, is comparable to what the Browns will have to do in order to be successful against the Texans, and that was a 42-36 overtime thriller. But they're not going to be able to throw the ball around. The Houston only rushed for like 80 yards that game, while Tennessee rushed for like 260. They're not going to be able to throw the ball around if the weather's bad. So that will have a lot to do with this pick. But for now, I'm going with the Texans plus 3.5. I'm just a little concerned about where this offense is going to find explosive plays without Odell Beckham Jr., both as him getting the ball and just the way he opened up the offense. The Texans can be ran on, but I just worry about that receiving core. Kind of like I need to see it before I believe it type thing. But again, the weather could change this. If this becomes a running game, then it's Duke Johnson versus Nick Chubb, and I'm going to fall on the Nick Chubb side of that in the Browns. So pending, but for the sake of the podcast, I'll take Texans plus 3.5 right now.
I think taking Nick Chubb over Duke Johnson is a safe bet. Doug, what are you thinking?
So what's this weather forecast you're talking about? Is it rain? What are we talking about here?
Windy, rain, gusts again. I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as it was against Las Vegas, but I think it's going to be pretty windy.
So I do think in this situation, if it is that bad of weather, I think as opposed to the Raiders game, it might actually favor the Browns if Nick Chubb is back, if Wyatt Teller is back. I think this is the best bet on the board in the NFL this weekend. This is as good as I felt about almost any Browns pick all year. I think the Browns win big. I think this is them getting healthy. I think this is them reminding people of what they can look like when they have their pieces. I think this is Deshaun Watson doing Deshaun Watson things, but the Texans not having enough around him as a full team. I think this is Kevin Stefanski catching his breath and reassessing exactly what he has and what he wants to do. I think it's Joe Woods doing the same. I think this is a must-win game for the Browns in their playoff chase. I think this is a Browns show us who they are kind of game. And I think if the weather is bad, that should only help them. So I think this is a double-digit Browns win. And if I had any fake money to bet, I would hit this hard. I am very confident about something like a 27-14 if it's bad weather, maybe 34-24 if it's good weather, kind of very solid Browns win. I think this is what's happened. The Bengals game was like a miracle. Oh, it's a miracle. Then the Raiders game was weird and they lost. Then we had a bye week, and I actually think people have forgotten that this is a team filled with pretty good football players who are getting healthier. I think this is it, people. I think these are your Cleveland Browns kind of announcement game. And not that they stopped Deshaun Watson, but that Deshaun Watson alone isn't enough to beat them.
Yeah, when I look at that Raiders game, right, what was it about? The Raiders controlling possession. They had 7 possessions, the Browns had 6, and the Raiders controlled the football. And I think the Browns in bad weather can flip the script. So they can come into this like the Raiders did and say, hey, this is going to be a 7-possession game. And they're going to have the 7 possessions, and they're going to make the most of it. I also think with Deshaun Watson, I think Myles Garrett might get to him. I think he's gotten to him the last couple times they've played. And I think there's a chance that the way Deshaun Watson holds the ball and tries to extend plays, that Myles Garrett is going to be able to get to him and cause a little bit of havoc there. Maybe cause one of those turnovers. He's only thrown 2 picks in his last 5 games. But I think there's going to be some sort of turnover here the Browns force that's going to be enough to make them be able to win this game by 4 points. I think it's going to be a little closer than Doug thinks, but I don't think the Browns are going to lose this game. I'm certainly going to pick them to win outright, but I also think I'm going to take them with the 3.5 here. I actually had written down Texans plus 3.5 over Browns, but I'm changing my mind.
I was so persuasive. I pulled you onto the side.
I've been thinking about it all day. And then Mary Kay and I talked to John McClain. You're going to hear that interview coming up. Doug made his impassioned speech there. Tyson also swayed me. Ellis, sorry, you didn't sway me on your pick. I think it's going to be the Browns minus 3.5. So that's what I'll say here.
I'm taking the Browns in this game by the 3.5 because I've watched these guys in practice this week. They are fired up. Let me tell you, this is one fired up football team. They all have their hair on fire. I don't know what it is. I've never seen them acting like this in practice before. It's really weird. I've got, Myles Garrett. He just looks like he's ready to run through a wall already. So I think that Deshaun Watson better just watch out because Myles is ready to go gangbusters in this game. These guys have no David Johnson. He's out. So if it's a weather game, they're just not going to be able to hang with the Browns. You've got Nick Chubb coming back. You've got Wyatt Teller coming back. You've got Austin Hooper coming back. It's just they're coming off of their bye week. I think that they're ready to just plant their flag for the second half of the season and let it rip.
Yeah, so let the record show that Ellis is switching his Browns pick after that.
Wow.
That's why Mary Kay is one of the best in the business, y'all. That reporting detail about how the Browns are looking and behaving at practice, that's important stuff. It's not just rah-rah and fluff. That's body language and momentum and energy. And you convinced me between Doug and Mary Kay there. I'm flopping the Browns minus 3.5. Let the record show.